Hello there, this is Professor William Quisenberry, and I would like to welcome you to BU636 Project and Business Analysis. So I'm going to be your facilitator this term for this particular course, and I'm really excited to be with you. What I would hoping to do at this time is just to provide a quick overview of the course. Okay, so I've pulled together a presentation that outlines at a very high level what it is that we'll be doing this term. And the goal is just really to get you a bit more acclimated to the class and to provide details on expectations and what you can also expect from the course this term. And so this will be a short presentation, but hopefully it will be beneficial, and it's something that you can review that first week of class as you're kind of getting more familiar with the course. Okay. Obviously, this is not going to be an end-all. After you complete this presentation, you'll still need to do a deeper dive into some of the materials that are in the classroom and continue to ensure that you're going through each unit in more detail and more in depth so that you can truly get fully up to speed. But again, the goal here is just to quickly introduce you to the class. Okay. And so this is an agenda of the presentation, and what I hope to cover, just provide a quick welcome, give an overview, also provide my contact details and how you can get in touch with me, along with office hours, expectations regarding the discussion board, and then I'll do a quick review of the weekly assignments and assessments that we have this time. Okay. So my contact details, and this is also in the classroom portal. If you go to the faculty tab, you can see some of these same details there. It's also included within the syllabus. Okay, that is my mobile number that's provided on the screen. So if you do need something and you need to get in touch with me, that's always an option, especially during office hours. You can always feel free to reach out via phone. You can also contact me outside of office hours as well. If I miss your phone call, just leave me a voicemail message, and I'll definitely get back with you as soon as possible. Okay. If we need to schedule a Blackboard collaborate session or anything like that, we can also arrange for that to occur as well. Okay. But generally, email is best if you need to get in touch with me and it is not necessarily a pressing need. And even if it is fairly pressing, I tend to check my email very frequently, and I will be sure to get back with you as soon as possible, definitely within 24 hours during the week. During weekdays, and then on the weekend I will be back in touch with you within 48 hours. Okay, so that's university policy. I tend to be far ahead of that curve though, so feel free to reach out via email and I should be back in touch with you as soon as possible. You can use the internal messaging system, so if you go into Blackboard and you go to the messaging tab, you can send me an internal email there in the portal itself, and I'll receive that and get back with you as soon as possible, as I mentioned. Okay. This is a quick breakdown of the point structure for the course. Okay, so you can see there's 7 primary discussion board questions at 25 points apiece, and then we have 6 assignments at 100 points apiece. The assignments, they have a bit more points tied to them, okay, in value than you may have seen in other courses. So each and every week, each assignment is worth 100 points, and that, from my experience teaching various classes here at the university, that's a bit higher. The reason for that is because you'll be doing quite a bit of analysis and pulling these various deliverables together, and so it is a good deal of work to a certain extent, and so we want to be sure that you're rewarded with proper points for your work. But just keep that in mind, because you never want to blow off the assignments. They tend to be worth a nice amount of points, but typically there's 2 discussion boards for each week, and then an assignment that's worth less points. That's not the case in this class, so there's only 1 discussion board week to week, and the points, the point value tied to the assignments is much more significant. Okay, and so keep that in mind. Now, since they are worth more points, you'll have more time to dedicate to them as well, so you have to consider that. Okay, so you only have one discussion board activity that you'll be responding to each week instead of two, so that will free you up and give you an opportunity to dedicate more time and resources to those weekly deliverables. Okay, we obviously have that final discussion board activity as well that's only worth 10 points, and that's just a wrap-up discussion during that last couple of days of the course. And then you have a final project as well, which will be your business analysis plan, which we'll talk about here in a moment. That deliverable is worth 215 points, so a nice amount of value tied to that particular assignment. Okay, and of course you probably know the standard grade scale for the grad school here at the university. Okay, so those details are provided there. You can also, again, find all of this information within the syllabus within the classroom. Okay, so in terms of this course and just a quick overview of the class, we're going to discuss the various types of analysis techniques that are used to identify business needs associated with the project initiation. Okay, so before getting to this class, you've likely have had other courses within the project management discipline, and this one's a bit different because the focus is not necessarily upon executing a project, or it's not based upon maintaining steady state operations like you may have seen in some of your other courses. We're actually taking a step back and going a bit further ahead, or really going backwards, I guess you could say, and looking at the processes that are conducted prior to even launching a project. So before you launch a project, there'll be a series of analysis or processes that are conducted to ensure that you understand the business's needs, the problems that they're experiencing, requirements, things of that nature, and then you draft up the scope, the statement of work, and some of these other elements after it is handed off to the project team. But before getting to that point, you want to ensure that you conduct proper analysis and understand exactly what the organization needs at that particular time, and that's going to help you create a relevant project that's truly going to benefit all of the stakeholders involved, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's what we'll be discussing, are those processes that lead up to the project initiation phase. Okay, and so that's where the business analyst really comes in handy. Okay, so we'll be talking about requirements gathering and management processes will be evaluated to understand, how you would actually go through these steps in a real world scenario. Okay, so this will be an extremely practical course. We will discuss theories. We'll be leveraging a very practical handbook, though. We'll be using Project Management Institute's handbook as our text this term, and so that will give us very relevant details that are practical and pragmatic. Okay, so there will be some theoretical concepts being discussed, but we'll definitely put the emphasis of our time and focus this term up on practice. Okay, so you can keep that in mind as well. You will have a deliverable that's due each week, as you saw a few moments ago on the point breakdown, and I'll talk more about those activities here in a few moments. Okay, there is not an e-textbook for this class, but we do have the physical text, and you can find those details within the classroom portal as well. If you go to the textbook link in the class, you can see the textbook details. And then you can also find that in the syllabus. Hopefully you've already received that text, or at least it's been ordered from the bookstore, and if not, just be sure that you go through the proper process of getting that textbook, because it will come in handy. And I'll also say there's a ton of resources available in the classroom shell, which is the norm here at the university. Classes tend to have a lot of additional learning resources, and that's definitely the case in this class. So there's some presentations available. There's a lot of links to external websites that will provide more insight into the business analysis processes and various methods. And another great resource in this class is the amount of templates that are provided. So there's a lot of links to websites where you can go out and get your hands on some really useful templates. Okay, so we'll be using, this class is not necessarily going to be a lot of essays and research papers. You'll have a couple of them at the beginning of the course, more of that traditional written paper format. And then many of the activities you'll be doing each week, you'll be filling in details of an actual business analysis plan. And so there will be a lot of templates. There'll be a lot of spreadsheets and different activities, diagrams, and items such as that. And so you may not necessarily be just doing traditional research writing and essay writing in this course, which I imagine for many of you is likely going to be a sigh of relief. Okay, so it'll be a bit different in that regard if that's something you've seen in many of your other courses. So keep that in mind and be sure to leverage all of those resources that are available in the classroom, because that's going to certainly come in handy. Okay, so real quick in regard to the discussion boards, and I talked about them a few moments ago, there's only going to be one discussion question each week. Be sure that your initial response to the question is posted by Wednesday. That's your initial response to the question itself. That's not a response to a peer, fellow classmate, etc. So you need to ensure that you get that initial post up by Wednesday. You also need to reply to at least 2 classmates for each discussion. Now, we only have one discussion board question each week in this class, which is nice, and again, that'll save you some time. So be sure that you provide 2 responses to fellow peers for the discussion question as well. Those need to come on 2 separate days, those responses as well. So by the end of the week, you should have at least 3 responses to the discussion board for that week. 1 is your initial response to the question itself, and then 2 additional responses to peers or myself as well. If I respond to your post, for instance, you can come back and reply to me, and that will count towards your activities or your participation for that unit. Okay, and those 3 posts need to be on 3 separate days, so just keep that in mind. Okay, you want to approach the discussion board as if you're just conversing with the classmates and your professor. You do not want it to come across as a lot of theoretical mumbo jumbo. You don't want a lot of direct quotes, copying and pasting, anything like that. It should be a lot of originality where you're just talking about the details pertaining to your project that you're proposing and working through, your business analysis project. And that a lot of the questions will pertain to the activities that we're doing that week and that you're working on behind the scenes for your deliverable that's due that unit. So that'll come in handy as well. It'll give you an opportunity to bounce additional ideas off of your classmates and myself, and so that should be helpful. You do not necessarily need to provide external resources, and again, it's not a research paper when you're providing a response in the discussion board. So if it does call for you to provide evidence and a citation or to reference a particular model or whatever the case may be, then definitely you want to leverage proper APA standards there and be sure that you cite those sources, etc. But if it's not calling for it, which it typically will not, then you can just respond to the question itself. You know, just build a case for it. And if you do want to leverage, I'm not telling you not to leverage external resources. If you do need to leverage or you are utilizing external resources, then go ahead and cite the sources. But just focus on the analytical side. So do not just regurgitate what these previous authors have said. You know, do not copy and paste. Do not direct quote. You want to summarize, paraphrase, analyze the details, and then you can cite the source there as you need. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's something that I try to really stress in the discussion board so that we can have as much original and creative collaboration as possible. Okay, now let's talk quickly about the weekly activities and assessments you'll be doing this term. Okay, so it is an action-packed course for sure, and really the goal and the neat thing about this course is you're going to be working on the same project throughout the entire term. So beginning here in Unit 1, you're going to talk a little bit about the various BA processes that are used, and so there's different methodologies that are used, you know, in different bodies of knowledge that are oftentimes leveraged. And so there's not just one way to approach the business analysis process. And so in this first paper, you're actually going to explore some of those differences and the different methodologies that are used. Okay, and then you're going to also select a specific model that you'll be using throughout the entire term. The course is presented from the perspective of Project Management Institute's methodology in regard to BA analysis and methods. Okay, so we will be using the Project Management Institute's PMI's model, and feel free to leverage that approach throughout the term. That could likely simplify things for you a bit, since your textbook is going to be leveraging the PMI approach. The course will be leveraging the PMI approach. So you may not want to deviate too far from that methodology. I'm thinking that will just help streamline your learning in the class, but that's only a recommendation. You do have some other options if you find a methodology and approach that you feel is more relevant to your particular industry and company that you select to highlight. Okay. And as I mentioned, and as I just alluded to, you will be selecting a particular company. You'll be talking about a specific industry. You're going to act as though you're assigned as a business analyst to help launch a project. And so you're going through this assessment period on the front end as you lead into the initiation phase of a particular project.